All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're cutting through the noise on two massive economic buzzwords that completely dominate the news cycle, but honestly get confused all the time. We're talking about economic growth and economic development. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly why mixing these two up can totally warp how we view a country's success.
So, I want you to think about this question for a second. If a nation simply has more money, are its citizens' lives actually improving? I mean, it sounds like an automatic yes, right? But as we peel back the economic data, the reality is way more complex. We really have to look beyond surface level wealth to figure out what actually makes a society better off.
To get to the bottom of that, we have to look through the lens of macroeconomics. As you probably know, this means zooming way out. We're stepping away from individual households to look at the big picture, the aggregate performance of an entire economy. We're talking total employment, total investment, the whole shebang. And at this macro level, our ultimate receipt for a country's performance is its national income. This is simply the aggregate monetary value of all final goods and services produced in an economy over a single year, counted without any duplication. Now, when we track that national income year over year, the ideal scenario is pretty obvious. We want to see that aggregate monetary value steadily marching upwards, right? We basically just want the overall economic pie to keep getting larger and larger. And that upward march, well, that is the textbook definition of economic growth. It's literally just an increase in the real national income of a country over a long period of time. So if the nation's total income is higher this year than last, boom, you have economic growth. But wait a minute. Notice what this metric completely misses. It is purely, absolutely quantitative. Economic growth doesn't ask how the money is distributed. It doesn't ask if the environment was destroyed to get it or if people are actually, happier. It only cares that the raw financial numbers went up. It's a very narrow concept. Because of that super narrow focus, economic growth is what we call a unidimensional concept. It cares about exactly one dimension, money. As long as national income or per capita income is rising, the growth box is checked. Mission accomplished, as far as growth is concerned. But here is the real plot twist. And honestly, this is where things get truly fascinating. A country can achieve economic growth, like it can literally see its national income skyrocket, without actually achieving true economic development. In fact, economic growth is entirely spontaneous and reversible. A sudden boom in a specific export might drive numbers up one year, and a random market crash might bring them right back down the next, all without fundamentally changing the daily lives of the average citizen. Which brings us to the real hero of our story, economic development. This is a much wider, qualitative concept. Development means you take that economic growth and you add progressive changes in the variables that determine actual human well-being. It's all about using that expanding economic pie to permanently upgrade the human experience. Unlike growth, development is multidimensional. We're looking for deliberate, progressive changes across the whole of society. Are we seeing real improvements in education and health? Are agricultural and industrial productivity becoming more advanced? Because here's the hard truth. If the overall quality of human life isn't rising, you might have growth, but you definitely do not have development. Let's actually put them head to head so you can really see the contrast. Economic growth is narrow and quantitative. It just asks, how much? Economic development, on the other hand, is broader and qualitative. It asks, how good? Think of growth as the sheer size of a house, and development as whether that house actually has working plumbing, heating, and a solid foundation. Furthermore, growth looks at a single dimension, just the accumulation of wealth. But development? It's multidimensional because human well-being itself is multidimensional. A good life isn't just a big bank balance, It's access to great hospitals, quality schools, and efficient infrastructure. And look at how these play out in the real world. Economic growth can be completely spontaneous and reversible, like a temporary resource boom that vanishes overnight. But true economic development, that is deliberate and irreversible. Teaching a population to read or building a nationwide rail network, those are structural upgrades to a society that don't just vanish during a market dip. Because they are so fundamentally different, we literally have to use completely different tools to measure them. Growth relies purely on income metrics on a spreadsheet, things like national income and per capita income. Development is measured by, well, looking out the window at the real world. We track agricultural productivity, industrial productivity, and actual, tangible improvements in the quality of human life. Ultimately, the relationship between these two is kind of like a one-way street. You absolutely can have economic growth without economic development. A country can get incredibly rich by selling a single resource, while its citizens remain totally uneducated and lack basic health care. But, and this is absolutely crucial, economic development is not possible without economic growth. You desperately need that increasing national income to actually pay for all those massive progressive changes in education, health, and infrastructure. Growth is the fuel, development is the destination.
So to wrap this all up, here is your master cheat sheet synthesizing those 6 fundamental differences. While growth gives us the quantitative, unit-dimensional, and sometimes totally reversible income metrics, development gives us the qualitative, multidimensional, and irreversible upgrades to human life. Just remember, growth can happen all on its own, but development always relies on growth to fund it. So, the next time you're watching the news and you hear politicians throwing a party over a rising GDP, I really want you to look a little closer. Are you just seeing monetary numbers inflate on a spreadsheet? Or are you actually seeing deliberate, irreversible changes that make people's lives better? Are we just growing, or are we truly developing? Keep that question in the back of your mind. I promise you it will completely change how you view the world.